Hey everyone, welcome to New Gameplay Today. My name is Marcus Stewart. I have Kyle Hilliard here. Hello.
Hello! I am already enamored with the fabric visuals. That's like the best looking fabric I've seen in a while.
Well, I mean, it's not just any fabric, Kyle. That's some holy fabric. That's that
That's
church
why it
stuff.
looks so good.
Yeah, we're checking out Indika, which is a new game. It is out as of now. It's only on PC, I believe. And Kyle, this game is weird. That's my biggest takeaway so far, is that this is a bizarre, strange game. First and foremost, have you heard of this game?
I have heard of it. Famed YouTuber Jacob Geller put it on my radar a little bit, just telling me it's something I might like. And then you, this morning, were putting out a call to everyone that's like, "Hey, I want to show off this Indika game. Is anyone available?" And I've raised my hand pretty quickly because I'm like, I want to know more about this thing. What is this thing?
Yeah, it came onto my radar a few months ago. Actually, it was Alex Navarro on Nextlander. He talked about playing it for Steam Next Fest, and that's where I downloaded the demo. And I was just so taken aback by how just strange it is. So the premise is that you're playing as Indika, who is this nun who lives in a nunnery and is kind of like the outcast at the nunnery. Like, for whatever reason, her fellow nuns just pretty much just treat her kind of like trash. Though the reason for that is that she has, I'm trying to think of a way to say this. The devil? Are you familiar with the devil? You might know him as Satan.
Right, he's a character in Futurama, I think, is how I know him personally.
Yeah,
That's the robot devil?
Exactly, among other places, yeah. So, like,
okay.
The devil is in her head. Like, the devil talks to her pretty regularly, and she seems aware of it because she will react to what he is saying. And it's not clear how this happened or how long this has been a thing. You're kind of like, we're playing shortly after I guess we'll say the first chapter or the prologue of the game, which is very wild, by the way. Like, the opening to this game is it's amazing because it starts out very mundane and playing like there's like a sequence where you spend probably at least like a good 5 or 6 minutes just collecting water from a well, and then like an intentionally kind of tedious task. As the devil is kind of talking to you about like, hey, this is some BS, and we can actually hear the devil talking now. You hear that voice?
Yeah. So is it like there's no doubt in her mind that the devil is here, or is it a psychosis? Are we looking at kind of like a Hellblade situation? Is that kind of...
As far as I can tell, I think it is literally the devil, because there are some things that
we're
happen.
Supposed to take it as the player at face value, right? This isn't...
Yes.
Okay, interesting. That's cool.
And we're about to see
cool.
something...
Maybe cool's not the right word, but that's fascinating.
It's cool for us, maybe not so much for her.
That sounds terrible.
It is pretty... Well, it's weird to say benefits, but we're about to see, because it's not just that the devil speaks to Indika, but it also becomes a gameplay mechanic where there are times where the devil's influence kind of takes over, and it sort of affects the world around her in some pretty dramatic ways, where like it's like I almost don't want to say what it is, because we're about to come up to sort of like an instance of it. But in terms of like the game itself, as you can see, you're probably wondering what that weird counter is in the upper left corner.
Yeah.
The presentational aspects of this game are really fascinating, where it's got like a very... Okay, so here we go. So now, so we can hear the devil now kind of talking, and there are these moments where his influence kind of becomes stronger, and it literally just like breaks the world apart. It kind of reminds me a bit of DMC Devil May Cry, when the city starts to turn and attack you, just because the way it's kind of violently contorts and shifts. And the only way to sort of like, I guess, like push him back is to literally pray. Like LT, I'm playing on an Xbox controller. There's like a prayer button that you can hit. And so you're kind of like going back and forth between praying, but then other times you're like, oh, I need to cross this obstacle. I need to let him in a bit, because that's the only way I'm going to be able to climb up this platform.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you're holding... So it's almost like you're shifting back and forth between...
Yeah.
Like two like realities almost, and praying maintains the the real reality, but if you stop praying, then you enter this hellscape. Oh, that's okay.
Yeah,
cool.
It's almost like she's maintaining her sanity and like her grip on her morality, but it's like time she has to give in to temptation in order to get past something. It's kind of how I'm interpreting it. But it's a really neat thing, and And so, like I was saying before, that little counter in the upper left-hand corner, you might have seen it when I collected that little item just now, and even just the weird font for the text. Like, it's got a very pixelated kind of, like, 8-bit, 16-bit, like, flourishes around the edges, and it's very odd. Like, it's got a weird tone where, like, some of the musical cues are very, like, 8-bit, 16-bit, kind of, like, weird, and then there's, like, points that you're collecting, like literal like gold points that are like pixelated, that are just at odds with the rest of the presentation. There's a skill tree in this game, and like you're spending these points to fill out this like very, very small but strange skill tree where all the skills are like point multipliers, and like, hey, if you pick up this many points, we'll add this many points, but they're all named after like, oh, one skill's like, oh, your morality, or another one is like your guilt, and it's like, I feel like there's like a bit of like a meta narrative being told there. Like, it's like, I don't think this is supposed to be like I'm supposed to take this at face value as like a regular skill tree, if that makes sense. Like, it's almost like there's a weird story being told there, because the skill tree it's weird to even say a tree. It's more like a skill twig, because it's like two branches basically.
Skill bush.
I
mean that is entirely on purpose. They're trying to layer in this little bit of abstract video gaminess to it, right? With like a font choice.
Yeah, and it's I've played past because right after the section that we're seeing here today, it's like the section that was available in the Steam demo, so I've only played that far, so I don't know if any of that stuff goes, if it does go anywhere at all. But it all just sort of lines up to where, like, this is just such a head scratcher of a game in a fascinating way. Like, everyone in this game is just really weird. Like, we're meeting these people now, and there's a guy like impaled on these like rebars, and I don't know. Everyone, I can't tell if it's just an intentional thing, or if it's like I don't know if it's like just the lesser quality of the voice acting or what, but everything just feels like off, or even like, I can't tell, like, is this bad, or is it supposed to be this weird? Like, there's a bit of like, I don't know if I go as far to say like Deadly Premonition vibes, but you know what I mean? Like, it's got almost like a David Lynchian quality to it.
All right, yeah, you're speaking my language here. I mean, yeah, it's almost like one of those where the game's like sort of indie budget aids in its sort of tone, I guess, right? Is the Deadly Premonition of it all, right? It's not that it's like reminds you of Deadly Premonition directly as much as it's like it benefits from sort of having a limited budget. It makes it stranger, right?
Yeah, it's a very odd thing. But I'm digging
even
it
was
so
like,
far.
I was surprised to just coming into this game with so little knowledge of it. I was like, oh, a train? Like, I didn't realize I thought we were like further in the past, you know?
Yeah, I believe it takes place in the... So, look, I prayed in front of this guy and got a coin for it. And I got a Steam achievement. Yeah, and that happens a lot. Like, coins just material, or I guess they're gems, technically. Actually, they kind of like rupees from Zelda, if we're really going to get technical. But, sorry, I was really fascinated to see how far this train would sink. I was like, is he going to go all the way in there? Or, get some real-time sinking physics, I guess. I don't even know what to call
So
that.
you showed up, like, there was a train crash, and you showed up to sort of help the dead comfortable, right? Like, to just offer some solace, I suppose. Is like, was the
or tried
situation?
to help, and the guy's like, whatever, things happened, and then I didn't have to pray. I just decided to do it, and then got an achievement for it. So yeah, because like I said, you can pray at any time. Maybe is it the first game ever made that has a prayer button that we could think
I
of?
don't know. I was just thinking that too, because it's like, it's that sort of press X to pay respects. Sort of like weird video game prompt. Pull the left trigger to pray.
Press Hades. If you play the Hades 2 technical test, you had a R1 to brood in front of that painting.
Yeah, there you go. That's good.
Oh, so here's the
your-
skill tree. I want to show that off.
The skill bush, the skill twig.
Yeah, the skill twig, yes. See, I see, like, I'm currently level 8. Like, you start the game as level 8, which, again, it's like, why? Like, that's
What
weird.
does that mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I almost had to, and I guess I haven't actually checked. I was like, maybe it read my, did I have, like, demo data and I was level 8? Is that what that is? Is there anything carrying over there? But yeah, you're also collecting objects as you're going around, like, environments, and you see here, there's some, like, again, going to sort of the like smaller budget. There's some pretty rough texture popping I've noticed as I've been playing, but yeah, I haven't used these for any sort of like puzzle solving yet. I don't know if it goes that far, you know. But I would assume maybe it does because it's like why even have it all there? We're not going to reference it in any way at some point.
I mean, picking up an object and then going in your menu to look at its 3D model is such a survival horror kind of staple, like a Silent Hill, Resident Evil kind of thing, which that adds its own sort of video game sort of layer to what this game is or might be, where it's like, wait, so it's like a horror game, kind of, you know?
Yeah, and I've been asking myself that, like, is this a horror game? Because there's like, I mean, there's no like scary moments, I guess. Like, I guess it's just very weird. Maybe the devil whispering his sweet nothings into your ear is like kind of creepy. There is a moment later on that is probably like the most overt terror I've seen. It's like a cinematic cutscene where the devil kind of makes his presence more known in like a physical sense. Okay. That is like, it's a little bit more like, oh, okay. Like you see like his hand kind of like come out of nowhere around her body, and it looks like kind of just creepy and like weird. And you're like, okay, I don't like that.
Not a fan.
But yeah, we're in this weird little house. But I've been just impressed with the, I don't know, maybe it's just the audaciousness of the game so far. Like I encourage people, if you look up nothing else about this game, to look up like the opening cinematic. Like it's kind of the big sort of like welcome to Indika, where there's just this wild thing that, in fact, you might even see like a still of it in the thumbnail. I've probably used an image from the intro as the thumbnail to this video. But it is just like, okay, this isn't whatever you thought this was. Like if you thought it was like it's like a boring, I don't know, adventure nun game, it's like, no, there's some like other things happening here that is just bizarre. Yeah.
What genre would you call it? Because it's not like, I'm assuming, and I'm not seeing any, it's not like you're doing combat or anything, right? It's like you're an adventure game, maybe? Like you're solving puzzles and walking around and things like that?
So, we're not going to see it here, but in the demo, there were, I'm trying to, I don't think it was like combat, but there are enemies. Like later on in the game,
okay.
I remember in the demo there was like wolves, and we're jumping around here, by the way, doing this kind of cool like house puzzle where you're shifting this weight, and it shifts the entire direction of the house because it's kind of like on a teeter-totter. So I'm doing it because there's a piano that we saw downstairs where I'm trying to shift it around the room downstairs so I can get it in front of the window that's open.
Oh, I see.
And, yeah, so it's like you kind of got to figure out which angle the house needs to be to get it to get the piano where you need to be. But yeah, there's wolves. There was like these like demonic looking. They might have been regular wolves, but honestly, they looked pretty like otherworldly a little bit just because of how big and kind of like mean they looked. But there's like sequences where you're like running away from it and trying to like dodge it, and it's almost like sort of like a puzzly thing of like you got to go down the path the right way or otherwise it's going to catch up to you. So you got to figure out like, okay, I need to make a left and a right and a left, like that kind of thing.
Okay, so there are moments of action, even if you're not like hitting bad guys with a weapon, I guess, right?
Yeah, at least, again, as far as I've played, maybe at this point, I don't know what to expect from this game. Maybe there is a point where she picks up a gun and straight up like starts shooting dudes. Because I mean, the story seems to be that, like, and the devil implies is that Indika maybe isn't as devout as she wants to be. And again, not knowing how the devil got inside of her head, did she do something that happened, or did the devil just pick her because she sensed that, like, hey, you know, you can be manipulated. Look at that. a cool little point they got.
There you go.
And again, she seems to have like as much as she tries to sort of like maintain her. Oh, I love this line. Sorry, I gotta see.
No.
And then that's it. It's like, I was just like, we're not gonna elaborate. I guess you're like, oh, I guess your husband was love. Nah. And you're like, okay.
Not a fan, actually.
Guess we're done here. But yeah, like it seems like she's trying to maintain her purity and like her values, and we're skipping ahead there to a cutscene. But like even though everyone around her that are supposed to be these like loving, people are just treat her like dirt. So she's kind of like maybe having trouble reconciling that,
Yeah.
What?
So this is one of the more cinematic cutscenes.
Of that thing? Maybe you wanted to join.
Oh, so here's the thing I was talking about. So look at that.
Oh,
Look at
weird.
It's so, and you're like, can people see that, or is that just for us, the viewer?
Yeah, so she was like, she's hiding from this guy, and like the devil like pushed her out into the hallway.
Yeah, like the guy.
There's that
like,
gun. There's that gun you were talking about, Marcus.
Yep. Yeah, I cut ahead because it's a pretty intense scene where this guy was basically gonna like seemingly do something to his wife or to some lady, and she's like grappling like, oh, should I intervene or no? And the devil's kind of like taunting her about it, like, oh, you're gonna jump in there? What are you gonna do? But then this guy saves him. This guy winds up being important where he becomes a sort of like a partner character for at least the portions of the game that I have played so far. So this is like your first time meeting him. I do not remember his name. I just remember that his face makes me laugh because he's a weird face. Is all I gotta say.
Okay. And he's got an injury of some kind. It looks like.
Wait.
Yeah, he's got like his arm in a sling.
You've saved me.
Yeah, this reminds me of Resident Evil Village. Just the,
Oh wow, yeah.
just the sort of look, which is a cool setting.
You didn't see.
Yeah, the game takes place. I think you alluded to it before about being surprised to see, I guess, more modern technology. It takes place in Russia in, I believe, like the turn of the 20th century. So it'd be like early 1900s.
Yeah, I guess when you see nuns in very simple clothing like this, I just always assume it's much further in the past.
Honestly, if you know anything about Russia's history, like even like early 1900s Russia was still pretty behind the rest of the world for various reasons.
Right.
It's kind of leading up to the Russian Revolution and all that stuff. So yeah, this guy is wanted for some reason.
A little bit of a sinister look to him, I'd say.
I like it. The little motorcycle, I guess. What would you call that?
It's like a bicycle or something.
It's on a motor.
Oh, it is on a motor. Look at that.
Yeah, like it does have a little motor, but I guess we have that now. Like, what are those weird electric bikes that you can pedal, but then you don't have to pedal if you don't want to? That people have now.
I really want one of those, but like I have no purpose for it. Like I can't justify it.
I mean, like, to get around, I guess.
Well, but it's like if I'm gonna go out and ride a bike, I should get some exercise.
Well, I mean, you can still pedal, right? Like you get both. Like you can exercise or you can just cruise.
Father's Day's coming up. Maybe we rip apart our budget and throw it in the air and get Dad an electric bike. Let's do it.
Are you gonna attach a 6 sled to it? You guys get snow up there, so you could put the sled at the end and give people rides.
Yeah.
Maybe you can get the money back by charging them for rides.
There we go. That's right.
The money that you're not spending
This'll
because
work out.
Yeah, I mean you're not spending the money because it's gifts, so you're really getting the money back that your family's decided to spend.
That's right.
So we're seeing some of like Indika's sort of like, I guess like moral choices of like she doesn't
do it like this.
I guess like this guy helped her, but then also like is he kind of shady too? Because look what he's doing here, but she's still like helping him out to get him out of there.
Right.
And
so you're not actively making choices in the game necessarily, but like you're seeing her make sort of interesting choices.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen any like outright like choice driven, I guess, scenarios.
Gotcha.
I would assume there aren't any, but again, I don't know what this. It's what I almost would say. I don't know what this game is, Kyle.
Right. Well, I am totally intrigued by it. Watching it with you here, where it's like,
even just like weird camera angles like this. Like this is, I thought I could move around, but you can't. Like this is just the angle that they chose for this specific segment. And there's more like the intro to this game I think is really cool. Like not just the weird intro I was alluding to earlier, but the straight up kind of credit sequence in the beginning of the game. And even just like abrupt cuts like that. Like it does a lot of these.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, oh, okay, we're done. And it's like loading. But and now I can play. And yeah, but like there's just like the credit sequence in the beginning I think is really cool from just like a cinematic standpoint. And there's like just weird choices like that where even if they don't always maybe work, it's sort of like I respect that it's just doing things weird.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's just kind of, that maybe sums up the game so far. It's like I'm gonna finish because I need to see where this goes, but like so far I'm just sort of enamored with just how bizarre it is, and I want to see how that all pays off from a story standpoint as we kind of start to wind down here. Also, this is just this whole sequence is like this clearly this has to be like intentionally comedic, right?
Yeah. I am
like,
totally. I want to play this game, Marcus. This look at it has totally enamored me. With just like this look.
Look at how close
this
guy
is weird in all the ways that I like. You know.
This guy can't catch us, and he's also a terrible shot. Apparently, he's just like screaming the whole time, like, "Hey, come back! Come on, guys!" Yeah, it's weird, but yeah, this is Indika, everybody. It is out today. It is I want to. It is actually I lied before. It's not just on PC. It is on at least PlayStation. I want to say it's on other consoles. I'm sorry for not being better
perfect.
prepared,
Okay.
but
Yeah, that's probably why
yeah,
we're all.
I'm playing it on PC, but yeah, it is on PlayStation for sure. And yeah, but yeah, I'm excited. I hope you play it, Kyle, because I need to talk to somebody else about this. But thanks for watching, everyone, and check us out on the next episode of New Gameplay today. Bye-bye.